Now, speaking of time off work, would you like to see a 4-day working week introduced into Ireland? Ireland will join an international campaign for a 4-day working week today. And the 4-day work week Ireland group is the homegrown leg of an international coalition of unions, business, environmental and women's groups who are promoting the benefits of a shorter working week. It follows the British Labour Party's recent campaigns to reduce the working week to 4 days. And amongst those addressing the campaign launch in Dublin is Andrew Barnes, founder of the New Zealand financial advice company Perpetual Guardian, which rolled out a 4-day working week for its 250 staff last year, and they work 4 8-hour days but get paid for 5. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Galway firm ICE has also introduced the 4-day working week. So what do you think? Would it work? Could we do it? Would we manage? Would it destroy business? Would it enhance business? Would we all feel better for it? Let me know what you think. The number is 087 188 0008. Would you support a 4-day working week? But from the Galway firm ICE, I want to speak to Margaret Cox, who is the director of the company. I'm director of the group, should I say. Margaret, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Niall.
Margaret, sounds like a wonderful idea. I could do it another day off. But
I know.
But my fear is that it might be all well and good for ICE in certain companies. It could work. But I don't think it works for everybody, particularly in the private sector.
Well, look, these are the decisions that companies need to make for themselves, and I accept that there's a number of different ways of introducing flexibility. The 4-day week is one of them. Ultimately, what we found is that the response that we're getting from companies, from employees, and from business in general is it's something worth considering. And again, if you go into it with a little bit of an open mind, look at what the challenges might be for your business and see if that's something that you can address. The benefits are huge. I mean, like you say yourself, you'd love another day off. Our model is slightly different in ICE Group in Galway. We all have a 3-day weekend. So you either work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and have 3 days off every single weekend. And that's what really works for us. But I appreciate what you're saying.
And by the way, I do apologise. I call it ICE. It's ICE Group, and I do apologise.
That
was an acronym. Okay, now I can see the idea of better productivity. Absolutely. We're all a bit more rested. We can be a bit more focused on our job because I suppose we have more free time and we have more social life. But I see that the downside for a company is that, let's say company A is paying a worker 35 grand a year or 40 grand a year, right? And they're saying, grand, that's for 5 days. Now he's only going to be working 4 and we're still paying the same amount of money. So we're going to have to hire somebody else for that 5th day, so to speak. So it's going to cost the company more money.
I think the success of the model, if it's to be successful, is that the business must ensure that they pay the people the same pay. So that's what we did. We went from 5 days to 4. There's no reduction in pay, but there's equally no reduction in productivity. So this is part of the planning and I suppose opening your mind. It's like looking, what can we do? What outputs do we need to get from our organisation? If everybody fully accepts that we need to achieve productivity, businesses are businesses. They've got to make a profit in order to pay the wages. So it won't work if you're suddenly saying, oh, we're going from 5 days to 4, we're reducing pay, because that's not fair.
No, you can't do that. But the problem, you take radio, for example, this industry, right? We couldn't do it. Well, we could do it, but it would cost the company more money because if I'm working 4 days, they're going to have to hire another talk show host and pay him a shift rate for a day to do the, let's say Friday, for example, if I took a Friday off. So they're going to have to pay people to come in to do that extra day because we all work quite efficiently in here, I have to say. So, and would you be thinking about this eventually coming into law? Because I know the 5-day working week, whether people realise or not, came in. Henry Ford was the man who kind of originally came up with this idea of 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to make 40, because people were working all sorts of mad hours up to that point. And Henry Ford brought it into this kind of 5-day, 8 hours a day. But can you envisage a time in maybe 50 years where it's just the done thing?
I believe, yes. In 50 years' time, and even sooner than that, I think there's going to be a change, because we all work differently now. The tools are there for us to work differently. The productivity is there to change. And I appreciate in a radio station, and if you're delivering a radio show over the 5 days, it can be different. But you know, the way to look at things differently is to stop and say, if we keep doing the same thing, we'll get the same result. Whereas if we look at it differently, we might get a better result. So it mightn't be that you will do 5 days radio every single week. You might do 4 days and then off for 4 days and back for 4 days. I don't know the answer for your particular situation or your radio show. I just know that from our point of view, we looked at it, we saw, well, what can we do? We open 5.5 days in ICE in Galway, and what we've done is we've shared the week. So some people come at the beginning of the week, some people come at the end of the week. But the idea being that everybody has, from our point of view, which works, the 3-day weekend. But again, I have to say to you, Niall, and I think you see that yourself, and I know that you probably agree, it's not the panacea for everybody. You know, there are places
I love it.
that work
Don't get me wrong, Margaret.
24/7.
I think it's a great idea. And, I would love to think that we're heading towards that because as human beings, I don't believe we have enough rest time. We're working to live instead of living to work.
That's right.
Yeah, so I do believe that we need more time off. I think it's good for our mental health. I think it's good for our health in general to have more time off because realistically, you get off on a Friday evening, you've kind of got a day off, and by the time you get to Sunday, you're kind of looking forward to going back to work again, when I say. So you don't really have enough time off. And I completely agree with you. But I think just from a business point of view, I think the government could certainly do it from a public sector point of view. That would be easy enough. It would just cost money. But from the private sector point of view, I think it's going to be more difficult to introduce.
And that's certainly true. And businesses need to look at it. As I said, it's not for everybody. But if you look at Perpetual Guardian in New Zealand, they've done it. If you look at ICE Group in Galway, we've done it, or we're in the middle of our trial.
Can I have a job? Can I have a job?
Absolutely, absolutely. We'd love to have you work with us.
Well, thanks very much. I'll put it down. Send you my CV in the post tomorrow. I'd love 4 days a week. That'd be just really nice. Well, Margaret, look, it's lovely talking to you. I don't think you're wrong. I think in the future, definitely. I think we might be a little bit ahead of ourselves, but I think certainly in the future it's going to happen. I think we have to reduce the amount of time that we work for our own mental health. Margaret, I really appreciate you coming on the air. Thanks very much.
Lovely to talk to you. Thanks, Niall.
Bye. There you go. Margaret Cox is the director of ICE Group, and they introduced a 4-day working week, as did companies in New Zealand, and many other companies around the world are starting to do it as well and around Europe.